Peace. This is a meat and potato sorcery production starring myself, the Water Alchemist, and today's topic is: can magical orders be infiltrated? Yes, they can. And most orders have been infiltrated since time immemorial. But I will try and stay within the frame of what happened in the 20th century and go into today because orders are really easy to get infiltrated, as well as political movements, especially because of the World Wide Web. It makes it incredibly easy. Now, we have to think in the era of McCarthyism in the 50s with Senator Joseph McCarthy of Wisconsin. We have to remember that when he came to power, he was paid by the Department of Defense to help neutralize the threat of communism as well as contain its sympathizers. Now, Edward R. Murrow proved that he was a fraud, and he was, and he proved that. So even before they started tackling and going against black nationalists and civil rights workers and etc., the original target was communists. That's who they wanted to work against. And if we even go to the Black Power era, we got to remember that they always put people against them. And one of the first tactics that they did is divide. We've seen this with Melvin Cotton, who was informant, and he labeled Sam Napier as one. And Napier wasn't. He was a dedicated soldier. And he ended up getting tortured, and he died. We also can look at William O'Neill with Chairman Fred Hampton, and we can look at the infiltration with the American Indian movement. And a good book that can talk about that unfortunately is written by an agent, is Agents of Repression by Ward Churchill, who said that he's part Indian from the Kiowa band. Only problem is Kiowa, that's an honorary term. Bill Clinton was given that term as well. So Native Americans had to stop that. And there's an author that the movie Panther was based off of, which was directed by Mario Van Peebles. The book is called Spitting in the Wind by Earl Anthony. David Duke even wrote a book posing as Muhammad X, the same David Duke affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan and the Aryan Nation. But there's more. The Golden Dawn, one of the most powerful magical orders of the 19th century, was divided by who? Aleister Crowley. Now, you got to think how dynamic this movement was in the United Kingdom. It had luminaries like poet William Yeats, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who's responsible for Sherlock Holmes, as well as Bram Stoker, who's responsible for Dracula, Dion Fortune, and Israel Regardie. Do you know how powerful that organization was? And it was divided by Crowley with the encouragement of McGregor Mathers. And I remember having a conversation with my then professor. He said, can you stop infiltration? And I said, no, not in today's world. He said, exactly, you can't. You couldn't stop in the 60s. So what makes you think that you can stop it now, but you still must organize? And he told me when he was part of the Detroit Black Panther Party, the individual that ended up infiltrating that order, he did it and he got a cushy job at General Motors. This happened to your mentor. I was blessed to be a part of a magical order, and I was the only so-called demonic sorcerer. There was an Odinist, very powerful. We had a shaman, and I was recruited and brought in by a witch from the Philippines. And who infiltrated us? But we caught on to it later because this nefarious individual created a page, and he was, and I cannot make this up. We were infiltrated by a radical Christian. Again, a magical occult order that we had was infiltrated by a radical Christian. And once the moderator who brought him in learned about it, He apologized to all of us, but it was a teachable moment. It wasn't about condemning him so much because he's dynamic as a moderator and a good person. But anyone can make a mistake. Some mistakes you can recover from, others that you can't. But the point I'm trying to illustrate is any organization or magical movement could get infiltrated. But that doesn't mean that you don't organize. And the thing is, the radical Christian had a profile of the olderness. He had one of a tarot reader. And yes, I was in the top 3. And he made a video where he was calling for warfare and the assassination of members from our order. And something was brought to my attention, and this is now in the present, that there are some tarot readers, and as I warned, they think that they can separate themselves, that are calling for the containment of sorcerers. What did Mordo say at the end of Doctor Strange? The problem with the world is there's too many sorcerers, but yet you're going to use sorcery to get rid of them. That makes you an agent provocateur and a Pharisee/hypocrite. And the reason I encourage magical organization is good, and you work towards the greater, good of the world. Because you're here to warp and do something about this simulation that we're living in. But any group can be infiltrated, but that doesn't mean that you should give up. Just don't become complacent and know what you're fighting for. And that's something that no one can ever beat you at, because you have to remember, I encourage the mantra of Hydra. When they told Captain America, they said you cut the head off of one, 2 more will grow back in this place. Same thing for a limb. So if you neutralize one dynamic, charismatic personality, there'll be 2 other individuals that should step forward. But they can have infiltration on any level. Even the Theosophical movement was infiltrated, because Charles Ledbetter, who wrote about auras, etc., Charles Ledbetter was a child molester. But he still was kept around by who? Annie Besant. So that's something for you to ponder. So with that is your meat and potato sorcery for the day. I am the Water Alchemist. Be water, my friends. Peace.